Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode, a special episode of Let's Talk About. Once again, I'm Kenny K, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host Carson Shear. And Carson, how are you doing tonight?
What's up, Kenny? How are you doing? Looking forward to the show tonight. Looking forward to being a part of this new journey, new show that we got on the K&K Sports Network. And a couple things to talk about, including my lines yesterday. And we got some mock draft 1.0, I guess you could say, coming up soon. So looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are all having a good weekend.
Absolutely. And I called it a special episode because we're going to keep it more sports tonight. We're going to talk about a couple things in the world of sports and, like I said, the gambling policy and suspensions. But along with the two of us, we got a special guest. He's not so special, but we're going to call him special. And let's welcome the other half of K&K Sports Show, founder of K&K Sports Show, Mr. Kurt Valenti.
What is up, boys? First off, I'm exhaustively tired. And I just hope our boy Scoops listened to me, Carson, and I hope he watched what he witnessed last night because I'm just super pumped. Is it 1:00 already tomorrow? Because let's go, Kenny. Game 4, baby. New York Knicks. Let's go. Plus, Kenny, I could talk about other things in sports too, just so you know. So let's go. Let's go.
Well, Kurt, it's an uncensored show, so if you want to say something PG-13, you can. I know you work in a school system, but let's friggin' go. Let's friggin' go.
Well, I'll tell you this about PJ and school system. Thank God they don't live stream me during the Knick game because I don't know what would happen. There'd be no show. I don't know what would go on because that's not pretty.
It's funny because we're very superstitious, Carson, and we're going to get into our topics, but
yeah,
we're very superstitious. Kurt did that little live stream of putting Donovan Mitchell in the freezer.
Yes, I did.
It's gonna be hard to just freeze him. You got to put the whole team in the freezer and put them on ice. And what happened yesterday? 79 points, least amount of points in the NBA this year.
Nice.
Keep them in the freezer. Let's go.
We do it as a team, Kenny. Right? Me and you, we do it as a team.
But our first topic, boys, kind of been on my mind because I'm going back and forth with this, talking to Kurt, talking to Carson, and it has to do. So I'm going to pass it off to Carson. But the most recent thing, the NFL's gambling policy, and they're suspending players. Calvin Ridley last year was suspended for the whole year for the gambling policy, breaking the policy, and now I'm going to pass it off to Carson because this most recently has to affect his team. So we're going to pass it off to Carson, Kurt, for a few minutes and let him start off, and then we'll all chime in.
Thanks. Thanks, guys. So kind of devastating news for my Lions yesterday. Ian Rappaport, kind of respected profile in the NFL world, yesterday morning about 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, broke the news. I'll read directly from his tweet. He said, sources, NFL suspended 5 players, including Lions wide receiver Jameson Williams, for violations of the NFL gambling policy, as well as Lions CJ Moore and Quintez Cephas, plus Washington Commanders Shaka Toney are suspended indefinitely, at least a year. Williams and Stanley Berryhill was another player involved, are suspended 6 games. So looks more into this. It appears to me that CJ Moore and Quintez Cephas, who were second and third stringers on the Lions, they weren't really kind of our main parting rotation, you could say. They have been released from the team. According to what I've seen and heard, they were directly betting on NFL games, which is a big no-no, and I completely understand because you get into the whole point shaving situation, and the NFL does not want anything to do with their players betting on their own teams, manipulating the market, because there's billions of dollars in the sports gambling world, so they don't want anything to do with it. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Kenny. I don't really know how to feel about this, to be honest. I get that the NFL basically says, listen, you can't go anywhere near gambling. We don't want anything to do with it. And basically what happened was the reason why Jameson Williams, star wide receiver, we picked him in the first round last year, tore his ACL, basically didn't play until week 11, I think, of last year. Kind of a couple flashes here and there, but still kind of recovering But yeah, a bunch of the Lions fans are upset, and half the world is like, "What are you doing? You're an idiot." The NFL Players Association fairly strictly says, "Listen, just stay away from gambling. Don't do it, and we won't have a problem." And it looks like the reason why they were only suspended 6 games and the other guys, CJ Moore and Quintez Cephas, were basically cut, is because they were not betting on an NFL event. I think they were betting on college basketball, from what I've heard so far. And the reason why it's becoming a problem is because when they place the bet, there's certain ramifications to where you are allowed to place a bet. And it appears to be that they were either located inside the facility, near the facility, somewhere involving the Allen Park training facility where the Lions practice and work out at. So, yeah, it's a very gray, kind of stereotypical, ironic situation, because you see ads for FanDuel, DraftKings, Barstool, BetMGM. You see commercials left and right during NFL games. I mean, it's just, there's sports gambling books everywhere. And the NFL makes hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars a season off of their customers betting off the games, promoting the living hell out of these sports books. And then the second a player gets involved with gambling, it becomes a big problem. So I don't really understand it. I get it. If these guys want to gamble, but you gotta also realize, like, what are you doing gambling in the facility? Like, if you're gonna gamble, do it at home, do it separately, privately. And it's unfortunate that it's affecting one of our biggest stars, Jameson Williams, to this extent. So I guess my question for you, Kurt and Kenny, is: do you agree with this? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's kind of a hypocritical situation? And because we, like you said, Kenny, with Calvin Ridley being out for the whole year, suspended by the Falcons for basically when he was betting on his own team to win the game. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I personally am kind of in the middle. If the guys want to gamble, so be it. It's kind of ridiculous how, if it's not even on football, but if it's near the facility, they don't want any kind of wishy-washy drama to where it affects them, where they can be held liable. So I'll go to you, Kurt, first, and then we'll go to Kenny. What do you think on this?
Well, Kenny, I know I just texted you. For some reason, guys, if I do leave, it is a torrential thunderstorm going on here. So hopefully I don't lose power. So if I do, I'm not skipping the show. It's just, hopefully we're good. But you know what, Carson? You, in Eddie Siss's words, when he says you nailed it to a T. And I heard somebody saying this yesterday. The NFL is in bed with these gambling sites, right? Everywhere you turn, DraftKings, FanDuel, yada, yada, Caesars. And now it's a problem, and the second thing, I personally think it's a joke, because, if they're outside of the locker room or the facility, then it's okay. Like,
right.
Come on, man. And you know what? If this was Patrick Mahomes, are they cracking down on it? I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, we're going to set this tone, so he can't make that bet. But I could, they could call his brother, hey, go bet the Rockets for me. I think it's a joke, like everywhere you go, it's, I mean, how many times you watch games now, live bet, Lions +4, like everywhere you go is gambling. And now it's going to be a problem. We're going to say we can't gamble. I think it's such, the NFL's being hypocrites. And I'm sorry, like, listen, you don't think these are the only players that are doing this? I mean, be realistic. I think it's a joke.
Yeah.
There's our good friend Jody Moncrief getting his Nuggets talking there out there in Colorado. Jody on Denver Bronco Roundup. Check him out on Tuesday nights. Jody, hang around. We're doing a little mock draft after this gambling topic. Now, you know what, Carson? Like Kurt said, you nailed it. Kurt, you nailed it. I want to add, who do you see on the commercials for the DraftKings, for the MGM? I saw Charles Barkley yesterday. I saw Kenny Smith. How about the Mannings?
With Caesar.
The Mannings on Caesars. So this goes both ways. Like Carson said, it's a policy that the NFL has. So, guys, maybe the NFL is going to catch us if we're gambling here. Why are you gambling there? It's like,
Right.
you go to, if you have a dress code at work, Kurt, and you can't wear
Right,
jeans,
but
are
but
you
I'm
going to wear
saying,
jeans?
but I'm saying if they
No,
go to lunch at McDonald's, they could
no,
gamble
no.
at McDonald's.
Again, the
Mhm.
NFL needs to. This is a legal thing. With I'll just use Jamison Williams because he's the star out of this group. He did nothing to affect his team. He
No,
didn't bet on football. He did nothing that's going to affect him or the team, anybody. He made a wager on another sport, maybe basketball, maybe
right.
maybe darts. Who knows? Could have been
Mhm.
anything. Soccer.
Yep.
Who cares? It's legal. It's not illegal. And we talked about this, Kurt, the other day. Kurt and I were talking. This policy is more strict, and this is where I have a problem with the NFL. This policy is more strict than sexual harassment, and
Yep.
it's more strict than
Right.
assault because Kurt brought it up, Miles Garrett's situation a couple years ago, where he swung that helmet, and if it would have connected with Mason Rudolph, he probably would have had brain damage.
Mhm.
So that was assault, and that's not as penalized as gambling, which is legal. It's not illegal. So I don't get it. That's the part I don't get.
Yep. I
You
agree.
know, he's not gambling on football. He's not gambling on his team, obviously. They're doing nothing that's affecting everybody. Now these guys are suspended for the whole year and cut off the team, and Jamison Williams and the other guy, 6 games. I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Carson? You
Yeah,
think
no, I'm at a cross with words here because again, if these guys want to bet and if they're not betting on football, I don't really see a problem with it. They're not competing in other sports. I don't really see the detrimental impact that it makes. But I get it where, I mean, NFL, they don't mess around with any of that. It can't be at work, and that's basically what was happening. Yeah, they made the bet, and it was on a different sport, but it was at a work environment facility. So, and another thing I don't quite understand, and I've made bets. Kurt's made bet. Kenny, we've all, if you're a sports fan, at some point you're gonna throw a bet on your favorite team, your rival. It's just part of the nature and the fun that comes along with sports, responsibly, of course. But but at the same time, though, it's like you guys are making millions of dollars a year. What are you doing gambling? I don't know the specific amount that Jameson threw on a game. If it was $5,000-$10,000, like, is the $10,000 bet? We'll go to the.
What's it going to do? Right. Where's that make? Right.
Right. Is that worth the risk of you getting suspended 6 games? Because I think I also heard he's losing at least a couple $100,000 from not being able to play the first 6 weeks of the season from his rookie contract that he signed last year. So I'm in the middle. I think these guys should be able to do what they want to do with their money. Again, I completely agree with the decision on CJ Moore, where in Quintez Cephas, where, I mean, you're betting on the NFL while you're a player. That's a big no.
That's a
That's wrong.
different thing. Right.
You
That's
get in
different.
the whole point shaving, and that becomes a whole other conversation. But if it's on like soccer or baseball or basketball where they have no impact whatsoever, I don't really see the problem. Now I believe Schefter came out and said that they can appeal. I think Jameson and his agent, weeks leading down before the season start, they can try to appeal it to where it can be a 3-game suspension instead of a 6-game suspension. Lions fans are freaking out. We basically played without him for the majority of the season last year, and we were pretty much fine. And now people are saying, "Oh, well, it's gonna, affect our chances of the division and other things like that." But I mean, it sucks, obviously, as a Lions fan, but I think we'll be just fine.
See, I wish I can get somebody from the NFL, uh, that makes these decisions on the policies, and I could put them on the spot on this show and say, how come gambling is a year-long suspension, but somebody who's accused, and I'm not going to say the name, we all know the name, somebody who's
Yep.
accused of sexual harassment, 11 games.
Yep.
And put them on the spot and ask them why gambling, which is legal, not betting on the NFL, why that's more serious than a crime.
All right, I'm gonna throw out
I
a
mean, let's throw
stupid
yeah,
scenario.
and then I got a question from Jody. So go ahead, Kurt, and
Okay,
then we'll answer
stupid
Jody's question.
scenario. I mean, because I've never done it, but I know like you can like do like NJ lottery, like in New Jersey lottery off of apps now, right? Carson, like I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys can do that. So let me say, I mean, could somebody be in a locker room and like play Mega Millions? I mean, because that's gambling, right? I mean, is that allowed?
Right. And I
I
think
mean,
it goes back to and the NFL needs to really figure out what's the gray line, because they flat out say you can't have any I think I had this is from the Athletic. NFL's policy on gambling. NFL's gambling policy prohibits anyone in the NFL from engaging in any form of gambling in any club or league facility or venue, including the practice facility. However, players are not prohibited from gambling on sports or other gambling chance events other than the sport that they play in. So if they do it at home or off site or not involved with work and it's not on their own sport, it seems to be perfectly fine. But the second it becomes an on work site, because these FanDuel and DraftKings, they can track your location of where you place the bet.
Well, let me ask you something. Can they get a Hard Rock account and say, I'm going to start playing casino games on I mean, listen, it's possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could do it. Is that possible? They're opening themselves up to like, and again, I wonder if this was, Joe Burrow, or they suspended him.
Right,
Yeah.
Pat Mahomes.
And the thing that's crazy, especially with like how advanced these practice facilities are, you'd think that they would be able to basically geo restrict any kind of sports book, sports betting app, just completely block the location from everybody, just even the public. You cannot place a bet if you're in this general facility. And these guys also have to be smarter too. When you place a bet, you got to put in your ID, your information, your social, because it all gets reported. So I'm curious to see how that was kind of transpired. But what's really interesting is Brad Holmes, like our general manager in the press conference yesterday, people were asking like, where's Jameson Williams? Because workout started a couple days ago, and it was just kind of very short answered, nothing really in depth. And people are saying that Brad even knew about this a month ago, and the information is now being just released. So it's interesting because it goes back to, does this guy have a character issue? Does that affect the players on who we draft? Cough, cough, Jalen Carter for the Lions. The motor gets running in these GMs' heads, and this could be a red flag for guys who they might draft in the future. And what's really unfortunate is we gave up draft capital and moved up in the draft to get this guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure in his mind he didn't. Who knows what he was thinking, if he knew the rule, if he didn't know the rule, if they were all somehow in this together, who knows exactly what happened. But it's unfortunate to see. But again, if it's not on football or the sport or the sport that they play in, I don't have a problem with it. They can do whatever they want with their money as long as it's not on the sport that they play in. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's kind of ridiculous, especially. I mean, we talked about it just now when the NFL. Everywhere you go, I mean, it's all in the stadiums, it's all in the commercials. There's the freaking like the FanDuel fan sports lounge at Ford Field,
Right.
for crying out loud. I mean, it's like everywhere advertised. But if a player does it, it's
bad,
completely
right.
wrong. And going back to what you said, Kenny, I think it's completely ridiculous because there's far more worse things that these athletes have done and gotten away with, and the punishment is way less. But if it's gambling, we gotta have the death penalty on them. It's ridiculous.
And you know what, Carson? And then we're gonna get to Jody's question. You're probably arguably the biggest family of NFL ever is on commercials supporting gambling. I think it's Caesars, and that's Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, and Archie Manning.
Yeah.
and they're supporting it, but go ahead and gamble. But if a player gambles, you're suspended.
Right.
So what is it? What is it, NFL? Or is it okay to gamble? Is it not okay to gamble? Because two of your Hall of Famers, future, Hall of Famer in Peyton and possibly a Hall of Famer in Eli, a Hall of Fame family supporting it. That's the problem. Jody's question. I'll go to Kurt first. We'll each answer this quickly. Do you think rigged games are happening in the NFL, Kurt?
Rigged games, I'm gonna say that the NFL's rigging the games.
Do you think rigged games are happening in the NFL?
I'm not gonna say it's, how would I say it? I'm gonna say that the NFL probably wants certain matchups come playoff time. Again, I mean, I don't think, like I'll throw, for instance, the Mahomes Cincinnati game, right? That the AFC Championship game when Mahomes is running out of bounds, they knock him out of bounds, they put him in field goal range. I, you know, I think the NFL probably wanted Mahomes in that Super Bowl. So rig, I'm gonna still say no. I mean, if you talk to my sister Jody, she's gonna say 100%. But I'm gonna say no. I think they want certain matchups, but I'm not gonna say it's rigged, But point spread wise, all right, they're favored by 13.5. They're up 10. Here comes an 80-yard touchdown run, holding offense. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to say, I'm not very clear by saying no, but I'll still say no, but not confidently.
How about you, Carson? You think there's some rigged games going on?
Yeah, I'm going to say no for now, but I think there's definitely some catalysts who could say otherwise. And you've seen some shady calls and some shady situations recently where these refs have got to be held accountable. I mean, they're costing these teams games. So you wonder if they have any kind of information. Arian Foster went on a podcast a couple months ago, and he literally he said, yep, they give us the script. Beginning of the season, here's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to play this way. You're going to drop this pass. You're going to do A, B, C, D, and E. But that was one of the players that I've seen from around the league recently. But I mean, the NFL literally says they are an entertainment business. So if they want to throw some things here and there, they're fully they fully can do so. And if it comes out one day that it is rigged, it's gonna kill the NFL for sure.
Carson, I don't want to see this year though is when I hate. Okay, Giants are playing the Panthers. The Giants are driving. They call or whatever tie game. They call a garbage penalty on the Giants. It cost them the game. And Monday morning, the NFL has made the wrong decision. I don't want to see that because if you make that statement. If Carson cheers the umpire, I want him, the ref, 4-game suspension. Mm-hmm. Just know, what are you saying? We apologize that we made the wrong call. What does that do to the Giants?
Right.
Do they get the do-over?
Right.
Or what happens to that ref? What happens to that ref then? What happens to the ref? Is he suspended without pay for making that call? Otherwise, don't say it. It's the stupidest thing.
And that's why I feel like certain penalties, like holding or pass interference, I feel like if the refs have to be held accountable. I feel like if you're a coach and you believe that that the ref made a mistake on a non-reviewable play, you should be able to review the play, just like they can in the NBA. The NBA recently, they have the coach's challenge. If they feel like, the ref made the wrong call, you can challenge it. They can go back. This is the whole point of instant replay. If you believe it's the
stupidest thing, Carson. You right. So
that's what drives me crazy is when you can't review certain plays when it's so clearly not in the right. That's
It's like a total pass interference call, but they're reviewing if it's a fumble. Well, I mean, you could review it's the fumble, but you can't go back and say, well, it's interference. I mean, how stupid is that?
Yeah.
You know what, Kurt? Jody's saying Tim Donaghy ruined it for everyone. He's agreeing with you, Kurt, saying right, say nothing. And then he stole my thunder because I'm going to go here in a second. NFL refs need to be full-time. But back to earlier, Kurt, I live in Maryland. You live in New Jersey. Carson lives in Michigan. I'm a referee. I'm refereeing the Eagles Commanders game. Commanders are getting 13.5 points. I'm making a call to Carson. Hey, I'm reffing I'm the back judge for the Eagles Commanders game. I'm going to do everything I can to keep this line under 14. Can you put 10,000 on for me out there in Michigan? How's anybody going to know that they're putting
You're
10,000
not.
on?
You're
Mhm.
not.
So I do think some of the NFL games are rigged because referees aren't full time. They're just getting part time money working, you know, not even a half a year in the NFL. So I think there could be not the players, not the coaches. I think some refs, they might need to be investigated a little bit because I do see some really awful calls that you say to yourself, this call's made and now that's going to affect the line of the game. It's not,
Mhm.
not going to affect the outcome of the game, but it's affecting the point spread of the game. So, Kurt, how did Tim get caught? He wanted to know.
With the Donaghy thing,
Yeah.
I watched that movie.
Yeah, me too.
I'm trying to remember. What wasn't it like the one game? Was it the Spurs that were involved or something? It was like 29 free throws. I mean, it was like ridiculous
Yeah.
with like Burnell Smith is saying, hello, guys. Mr. Beeling, good evening, fellas. No rigging. They get paid like 250 grand plus.
Yeah, but the players are gambling, John, and they're making millions. So, you know, I don't know, John. They might be rigging it. I don't
You know
know.
what? Again, Kenny, I don't care what goes on, but I can't stand when on a Monday morning after review the NFL we
Right.
made the wrong call. Like what? Why even say that? What are you
Mhm.
gonna do? What are you doing? It makes no sense unless they're gonna start saying, okay, John Beelan's the ref. John Beelan made this wrong call. He will be suspended. He will not be reffing. He's suspended without pay for 6 games. Well, I don't want to hear anything. It's the stupidest statement. What is that? You saying that does nothing. It's just going to piss the team off more. That's what it does.
See,
Mhm.
that's going to be my last. This is going to be my final. Let's get our final thoughts on this. My final thought's going to be a funny one. If I'm if I'm the league, like I don't know who's the NFL player representative, but I'll just throw a popular name out there. I'll throw Patrick Mahomes out there. Let's say Mahomes is the NFL rep. I'm going to all the stars. I'm going to Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to Burrow. I'm going to Herbert. Guys, this gambling policy is a joke. Let's all bet $10,000 on a game and donate it to charity if we win, and see if they suspend everybody in the league. You're going to suspend all the NFL quarterbacks in the league. The NFL
Yep.
representatives need to step up. The player representatives need to step up on this.
Yeah, and it goes back to, I mean, we've had this conversation before. There's I don't care what anybody says. There's 100% a bias based on the player's position in a sport compared to if the guy was like a second or third stringer, where they got nothing to lose. Oh well, he was against our terms of service and he did a bad thing. We got to let him go to make an example. But you, Jameson, you kind of did the same thing, but you're our star athlete. We can't really afford to lose you, so you're just going to get 6 games. So it's completely ridiculous. But there's 100% bias towards certain position players in sports. You see it all the time happen.
Beelan saying, "Yeah, Kenny, that's when we bring up XFL players," and Jody saying Congress would get involved. Kurt, you want to get a final thought in, and
What?
then
So
we'll move on to.
Sammy Sosa goes back and says he doesn't speak English in front of Congress. Remember that?
Give you the final word on the on this, Kurt, and then we'll get into our mock
Again,
draft.
I don't know. I just like Carson said it the best tonight. I don't understand NFL with we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. Gambling's bad. But then in the next commercial, you're going to see go to Caesars with the Mannings on Sportsbook. I mean, makes no sense.
Exactly. And you got Barkley and Smith doing commercials.
Right.
Kevin Hart and
people just
even
flat out
actors.
saying, "Oh, I got this team minus 10 tonight." Like they say it.
Mm-hmm.
And they got gambling shows on ESPN,
Yep.
on Fox. Our good friend, we got good friends. We do a gambling show. It's not illegal. It's illegal with a capital L. So I don't know. We'll see with the NFL. Maybe they'll be a little more lenient on this. I don't like it. I think it's way too severe of a punishment. I think it should be, more of just a fine. If you're gambling on another sport, a slap on the wrist, give them a fine. and say, don't do it again. Second time, it's going to be bigger fine. Third time, it'll be a suspension. But we'll see. There's a million different ways you can go with this, but I think they're going about it the wrong way. Uh, that being said, boys, NFL draft is next week. Less than a week away, Thursday night. I know
Mhm.
Carson's excited. He's got 2 early
Wait,
picks.
wait, when is it? When is it?
next Friday for you.
Not Thursday. I'm
No,
not
Yeah.
involved on Thursday.
Thursday
I
you'll
thought
be.
I got the memo. It was Friday.
Yeah,
Friday
next
about
Thursday.
10 o'clock.
I think I'll be happy. I think I know. I think I'm got a couple of ideas where the Giants might go with their pick, and I'm excited about it. And but we got a little top 12 mock draft lined up for you guys, and then I got a couple of quick hitter questions for you guys to wrap up the show tonight. But we'll start off. I did a little order for us to pick in where Carson's going to get to pick for his Lions, Kurt. So
Okay.
since you don't have a pick in the first round, I'm going to give you the first pick of the draft. How about that?
Very
And
nice.
you're up on the board with the Panthers, Kurt.
Now, again, I don't believe that this player is the best player in the draft, but I also do realize that this team did trade up, right? So when you do trade up, you are given a lot of assets, and I also think that the best player in this draft has a big issue, personal issue. So I just don't believe that Jalen Carter. You could pick Jalen Carter number one. But again, I believe he is the best player in the draft. But with all that, they don't have a quarterback. I believe there's one quarterback that's ahead of everybody else. So I think I'm going to pick Mr. Bryce Young for Carolina.
And I'm
Nice.
going to keep track of these top 12 and see how well we do on Thursday. Going to do a little live. I'll get to that at the end of the show. So Bryce Young is going number 1. I was afraid you were going to go that way because I'm sitting at number 2 and been reading up on what the Texans are, are talking about. There's a lot of people saying that they're going to go this route, but I'm leaning more. They just hired DeMarco Ryans, the defensive coordinator over in San Francisco, and I think they want to make him happy. And I think they want to go. They're going to stick with Davis Mills this year, and I think they're going to go with the best defensive player in the draft, playmaker, and that's going to be Will Anderson out of Alabama at number 2. I'm going to take Will Anderson.
Okay.
Carson, you're on the board with the Cardinals. I know that might have messed you up there
Yeah,
with the Cardinals.
this is why it's fun because that messed me up because I thought the Cardinals were going to take Will Anderson. Yeah, like I said, everybody thought that the Texans were going to take a quarterback, and most people thought it'd be C.J. Stroud. And then now there's reports saying, "Oh, well, we still think Davis Mills is kind of our guy, so we might just go straight defense." And I wouldn't blame the Texans one bit. I think Will Anderson, arguably, is the best player in the draft. So this leaves the Cardinals in a interesting spot. And it kills me, but I feel like they're going defense. I don't think they're going a quarterback because, again, they're stuck in the whole Kyler Murray situation. So good luck to all the Cardinals fans out there. That's kind of a nightmare. But I think it's got to be Jalen Carter. Again, character issues aside, you have to watch this guy on tape. I mean, this guy was arguably the best defensive player coming into the draft on a bunch of people's big boards. I think just the overall upside, and if you're a franchise or a team, you got to take the risk and go big or go home. So I think you got to go Jalen Carter for the Cardinals.
And Jody, we'll let you play along too. Jody at number 1, and Beelan, if you're out there, you want to play. C.J. Stroud, number 1 for Jody. Bryce Young, 2, and Jalen Carter, 3. So he's on board with you with Jalen Carter there. Carson at 3.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go back to Kurt for number 4 in the Indianapolis Colts. Kurt.
Yeah, Indianapolis Colts, I think, and I heard this a couple of different places, and I truly do believe it. I believe like that the Colts like a certain kind of quarterback, right? And I just mean going, way back, right? Peyton Manning, bigger guy, stronger, the strong arm. Andrew Luck, same thing. Even like Carson Wentz. And I think that Will Levis is their kind of guy, right? I just think he's the prototypical Indianapolis Colt quarterback when they were successful. So I will take Will Levis at number 4 for the Indianapolis Colts.
Jody's agreeing you with Will Levis. Uh, I'm going to pick number 5 for the Seahawks. And by the way this draft is going, I thought somebody might have been off the board here. And I was going to go defense with the Seahawks. But as Kurt would say, they got Geno throwing the ball. Geno, right, Kurt?
Yeah.
Geno over there in
Yes,
Seattle.
sir.
But you know what? They might be able to live with Geno for another year or two. And this may be the perfect spot for Anthony Richardson to develop and not get rushed into a starting job. And the Seahawks at 5 with Jalen Carter off the board, who I, would have picked at 5 if he was available. I think they're going to look at this board and say, you know what? Let's get Anthony Richardson. The ceiling is high. It could be a hit or miss, but at 5, we'll take that shot. Maybe we'll get our future quarterback. So I'm going to go Anthony Richardson for the Seahawks. All right, Carson, I'm curious to see which way you're going now.
Oh man, see this
with your lines.
This is what makes the draft really interesting, because Brad Holmes has a ton of different options, and it's going to basically come down to how the board shapes out. And I think a huge factor to this is, do the Texans take CJ Stroud? If the Texans take CJ Stroud, I feel like the Lions are either going to go, I think, a corner in Devin Witherspoon. Again, though, if CJ Stroud is sitting right in your face at pick 6, again, I around here, Jared Goff's the guy. He's the guy. Again, though, the same time, though, this team now has expectations. And when's the next time the Lions are ever going to be picking in the top 10? Maybe not for another 4, 5, 6 years. Screw it. Give me CJ Stroud at number 6. I think the upside is way too high. And if he is there at 6, I would not be surprised if Brad Holmes took the leap of faith. And he even said in his press conferences, we're looking to upgrade at all positions. It doesn't matter who it is. If we believe that he can help our football team and upgrade our football team, why not? I'd rather take a shot in the dark on CJ Stroud than a corner at 6. I'm not saying Devin Witherspoon's a bad player, but after the whole Jeff Okudah situation nightmare that happened a couple of years ago at pick 3, I'd rather, if this is a free pick from the Matthew Stafford trade from the Rams, go for it, especially on a rookie QB, on a rookie contract. That is one of the most valuable things you can have in the NFL. So give me CJ Stroud. That's going to be interesting if he's there.
That's going to be real interesting. We're going to be talking on Thursday. I know. Jody's going at 5 Anderson and 6 Weatherspoon. So he's got Weatherspoon going because he picked CJ Stroud number 1.
And I agree, Jody. If CJ Stroud is gone, I think we're going Witherspoon at 6.
With the Raiders, Mr. Valenti is up.
I got the Raiders.
Yeah, I messed up the order a little bit. I could do the Raiders if you want.
You know what? I could do the Raiders. This is tough, right? Because I really think the Raiders would have probably wanted to take one of these quarterbacks, whether it's Anthony Richardson, Levins. I mean, Josh McDaniels, I think he's going to have Jimmy for a little bit, but I also think, I think he's very intriguing. And remember, he's the one that drafted Tebow, right, in Denver. So I think he would like to have one of these quarterbacks. But I will, since I take the Raiders now, they're in the AFC West. You got a lot of teams, you got Mahomes, you got Herbert, you got Russ. You're going to have to defend a lot of quarterbacks. Their defense is pathetic. And I think this is where they will take Witherspoon from Illinois as a corner.
Nice.
Like it. Yeah, I messed up the order. I apologize, Kurt.
That's okay.
I'm going to pick for the Falcons, which is right before the Eagles. So I'm going to stick it in their ass, right? And here's my pick for the Falcons, because they could use them. It's not just a wishful thinking pick. I could see the Falcons doing this. Jody's going Richardson with the Raiders. I'm going to go running back out of Texas, Mr. Bijan Robinson, one pick before the Eagles.
Wow.
Don't know who's running the ball in Atlanta. Desmond Ridder, we know, is their quarterback this year. So I think they need a running back there. And what better way to start Desmond Ritter's career than with a feature running back and the top one in the draft. So I'm going Bijan Robinson here, boys, at number 9.
I like it. That'd be crazy. But I mean, it makes sense. Cordero Patterson, he's had injury prone concerns. And I
Yep.
think Bijan, I think he has the highest ceiling out of anybody in this draft, especially at a running back position. Just everybody's comparing him to the next Saquon, the next Christian McCaffrey. The guy has terrific upside. So I mean, yeah, if they like him, I wouldn't be too shocked if that happens. Bears, obviously, they made a blockbuster deal, trading the number 1 pick to the Panthers. They fall back to pick 9. I'm going to be sick to my stomach if somehow, some way, Jalen Carter is there at 9, and then my Lions have to face him twice a year. That'd be an absolute nightmare. But I'm glad he's off the board. But I think you got to go with the best tackle in the draft, and that's Peter Skoronski, kid out of Northwestern. Had a terrific combine, terrific upside. 313 pounds, 6'4". Monster. Just played great under Pat Fitzgerald. Had a really good guard a couple years ago in Rashawn Slater. Kind of comes from the same foundation. Got to protect Justin Fields. I think it's Peter Skoronski for the Bears.
I like that pick. Even though Kurt and I aren't a fan of Justin Fields, you got to protect your quarterback, right, Kurt?
Yeah, I think honestly, and if I think he's on the board, I think this is the easiest no-brainer of the first round. I mean, he's a great talent. He's right there. That you get him at 9. That's what they obviously need. Offensive linemen, they're atrocious. So, yeah,
We got 3 more picks and then a couple special picks in the first round. Eagles, Kurt. I just screwed you. I took Bijan Robinson.
you did. There's nobody else they could take. I mean, listen, I would be stunned if they took any kind of running back, besides Bijan. I know it has. Again, this could be like a luxury pick, and I think I'm gonna come back and screw you with the Giants. And you know what? I think I'm gonna do it to you again. And wow, do I want to do that for the Giants? For the Eagles? You know what? I'm gonna take who I think is the best wide receiver in this draft. And I think the Eagles just another weapon for Scoops is Jalen Hurts. And I'm going to take your boy. I don't even know how to say his last name, but Carson, help me with him from Ohio State.
Yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Thank you.
That's where I'm going.
Appreciate that. I thought we were friends, but I appreciate that. I'm messing with you.
Now defend him, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm going to be honest. This Eagle pick, you know how Carson just said it's a free pick for the Lions? I feel like this is a free pick. And, do you really, okay, I'm going to take offensive lineman or, the safety they lost. But listen, if you have a stud receiver there, it's a free pick. They're going to pick again. Listen, go for the jugular and say, I'm going to make this offense unstoppable in the NFL. And you have a stud like this out there, I'm going to take him.
Couple more picks. I'm up with the Titans. Now, this is a pick that if we were doing trades, this pick would have been traded. Either the Titans moving up or moving back, but we're not doing trades. This didn't go as planned if I'm the Titans GM. So I'm going to go with my best pick, best person. Best off the board, right? A lot of teams do that.
Yep.
And hey, they need a lot. They obviously need a quarterback, but I'm not going to take Hooker here at this number. I'm going to take best player available, and that's Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. He's still on the board, the edge rusher out of Texas Tech. I think that's a simple way to go there for the Titans. Best available at 11.
Nice, yeah.
Eagles, Michael Mayer for Jody and left tackle Johnson.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you screwed me, Kurt, with the Texans because I think they were going to go with Jackson Smith and Jigba. A lot of people are saying if they go Stroud at 2, they could pair up his teammate with Smith and Jigba at 12. So that could be a possibility on Thursday. I think you got to go Quentin Johnston here. Again, a ton of upside, a beast at wide receiver. Had a great career. I think you got to give Davis Mills another weapon on offense, especially now that Brandon Cooks just left. So give me Quentin Johnston for the Texans.
Nice. that's going to conclude our top 12. I do have a couple special picks. Like the first one's going to be right at 13. What are the Jets going to do at 13? I'll start with Kurt. Are they going to actually first question? It's a two-parter. Are the Jets going to make this pick, Kurt, or is it going to be the Packers?
Listen, I heard another rumor yesterday saying that again, I don't know how true it is. The Tennessee Titans called Green Bay about Rodgers, and I'm telling you, this San Francisco 49er, Chris Carlin, not Chris Carton, Chris Carton. I don't know if you saw this, guys, on the morning. He's he does his show with
Fox Sports. So yeah,
yeah, Fox Sports,
early in the morning.
And twice now he has said this thing with the 49ers is legit, and the Jets better be very careful, like trying just to get Rodgers. Listen, if I'm the Jets, I'm trading this pick for Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. I'll argue with any of my Denver friends on Rocky Mountains. I'm not playing games, and I'm not getting. If they don't get Aaron Rodgers, who is going to be their quarterback? Seriously, if they don't get Rodgers, Joe Douglas, and so they're going to get fired because they're not going to have anybody.
You're not going to contend.
Yeah, they're not going to contend. So
you're going to be mediocre at best.
And if I'm the 49ers, they're saying like they could offer 4 second-round picks, a future first. If I'm the 49ers, I'm giving them anything to get Aaron Rodgers. And the Jets don't want to. Right. The Jets don't want to give up to get number 13. They don't want, I think if the Jets keep the pick, they're going to take an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm. We don't need to say the name. Which I just
offensive
who's going to make
lineman,
the pick?
100%. But they better. I'm telling you, they're playing with fire, man. Rodgers could say he wants to go to Jets all he wants. He don't have a say in this. He really doesn't. Yeah. So, the Jets. I'm telling you. So all it takes is for another one team to. And again, Green Bay. Probably Green Bay's best thing is if Aaron Rodgers retires, because then his money comes off the books. The cap is all that. So in reality, if he turns around and says, we're trading you to Tennessee, what is Rodgers going to do? Retire? Then Green Bay says, okay, you're off our books. We don't owe you any money. And away we go. So, I don't know. They're playing with fire here. And I just think it's starting to get a little scary because if I'm the Niners, I'm going all in. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm sorry. I don't care how much I like Nathaniel Hackett. If I can go quarterback for the 49ers, you're the Super Bowl favorites if that happens.
I'm going to give Carson the final word on it. I'm going to make mine quick. We did our mock draft. Oh, sorry, Carson. I'm going to give you the final word. I'm going to go real quick. No, it's okay. We did our mock draft. I'm looking at who the Jets can take at 13. And that's what's holding up this thing. Number 13 pick, Miles Murphy, an interior offensive lineman. We took the top 2 tackles in our top 12.
Paris Johnson, maybe from Ohio State.
Paris Johnson's going to be the difference between getting Aaron Rodgers. Come on. It should have been done weeks ago. And the Jets are playing on thin ice here. And don't be shocked if they fall through the water and they don't get Aaron Rodgers. I'm serious. Like you said, Kurt, could be 49ers. There's other teams that are going to be making calls. He's a difference maker. And for number 13, you're not talking about number 1 or number 2. You're talking about the 13th pick in the draft. It's not going to be a difference maker in year 1. Aaron Rodgers can get you to the playoffs in year 1 and maybe even further. Who knows?
I agree.
So I think the Jets need to trade this pick and need to give the Packers this year's number 1. Carson, final thoughts on this pick.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kenny. It's now or never, and we're going to find out in the next couple of days is how serious are the Jets. And I think Beelan is praying that they trade this 13 pick to the Green Bay Packers and in a compensation kind of trade. It might not be straight up. I think there'll be also other pieces involved, but I mean, what do you want? Do you want a left tackle that you're gambling on this draft, or do you want an MVP quarterback in Aaron Rodgers? I think it's a no-brainer. I think the Jets have to trade this pick and get your franchise quarterback. Because like you said, Kurt, if they get Aaron Rodgers, they are legit. I think they might come out of the AFC this year. They are 1 quarterback away, all-pro defense, defensive rookie of the years.
Yep.
I think they can still get a left tackle or a guard still in this offseason. So I think it's now or never for the Jets. It'll be interesting, though, because if they don't make this trade happen before the draft night. It's either going to be on draft night or the Jets aren't getting Rodgers. I think that's what's going to happen. But I think they're going to trade to the Packers. You have to if you're the Jets.
I'm looking at my ticker. We just went over the 50-minute mark, so we'll try and end in like 5 to 10 minutes, guys, if that's okay. Jets could trade for Trey Lance. Imagine that, Jody. Trey Lance and Zach Wilson, and they both bomb out. You want to talk about bad GMs? If he trades for Trey Lance and Trey Lance turns out to be a failure.
Kenny, Joe Douglas, I don't know if you guys saw it. He was at some kind of event, and he basically, like, he was with Boomer Esiason, and somebody yelled, like, they were doing like a Q&A, and somebody was like, what about Aaron Rodgers? And he's like, this is like maybe 2 weeks ago, he said, he'll be here, don't worry. He'll be like, this guy's job's on the line, man. He better get him.
Better. He's messing with fire, man. If I'm the Packers, okay, Aaron Rodgers don't want to play for me, but I'm not going to, you know what? We ain't going anywhere this year. You need him more than we need
Kenny,
that second round draft.
I don't care if the Detroit
I'm keeping
Lions,
him on the bench for $50 million. I don't care.
I don't care if the Detroit Lions, the Bears, whoever, you're going to the top package. So whoever is going to give me the most picks, that's where you. And if it's the 49ers, I could care less.
Who the Packers trade Favre 2 years ago? The Vikings, right?
Yeah. Well, Jets, and was it Minnesota? Yeah, and then he went to the Jets, right?
Yeah. All right, let's get Carson's thoughts on the Lions' second pick, and then we'll do my Giants, and we'll get Kurt's thoughts on the Broncos.
Yeah, again, it's going to be interesting to see how the board shapes up, and I'm telling you right now, if Will Anderson and Jalen Carter, one of those two guys, I really, really want at 6. If they're both gone and C.J. Stroud staring me at the face, I'm taking a shot on C.J. Stroud over a corner. I can. There's no Sauce Gardner in this draft. I'm sorry to tell you all. I would much rather just take the risk and try to get your future franchise in a quarterback. So. Again, I think defense is still our priority. I could see a scenario where they take Witherspoon at 6, and then you go defensive tackle or somewhere in the secondary help, like a safety and Brian Branch. I think it depends on what happens at 6. That's going to dictate who they draft at 18. A guy like Elijah Cansey, I'd love. A guy out of Pittsburgh, tremendous upside with him. I really liked his tape when he was at Pitt. So I would love a guy like Elijah Cansey, but I think at 18, you got to go defensive help. As the secondary, we just let Jeff Okudah go. So I would love if Joey Porter Jr. was still on the board at corner. If we took like Jalen Carter at 6 and a guy like Joey Porter Jr. or Deontay Banks out of Maryland was there at 18. I would absolutely love that. That's where you kind of want to take a corner. It's kind of late first round, second round or above. In the top 10 though for a corner, it's just really hard for me to get behind that pick. So I think we're going to go interior defensive lineman or defensive tackle or a corner at 18, depending on what we do at 6. And Brad Holmes, I mean, he's pulled tricks up his sleeve before. There's a chance that we might trade up in this draft if he believes in Will Anderson that much. I think there's a chance he can make fireworks in the first round as well. But I think it's defense for 18 for us.
I like it, Carson. I think there's only one route I think the Giants are going to go with their first pick. And if they pick at 25, and it's a big if, it's going to be a wide receiver. And I don't think it's going to be Smith and Jiba. I think we're going to have to move up to get him quite a few spots, kind of like almost like your Lions did last year, Carson, with Jameson Williams. Do I see the Giants doing that? I don't think so. But I see more of Quentin Johnson, TCU, a possibility. I'm hearing good things about this Zay Jones kid out of Boston College. Hearing he's a big playmaker, smaller receiver, like a Tyreek Hill speedster. And the more realistic ones I think that can happen, say it's bold, I think we trade back and we get the kid out of Tennessee in the second round, Jalen Hylett.
Yeah.
And really bold prediction, trade with the Cardinals and you get DeAndre Hopkins and their second round pick, which is early in the second round, and you give up your first round pick and your second round pick.
Nice.
And those are my things I could see the Giants doing, but I see a playmaker wide receiver. That's the only thing I could see happening in the first
Yeah.
round. If it's anything else, I'm going to be disappointed.
I agree with you, Kenny. I think it's either going to be Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, or if you can, if somehow, some way Quentin Johnston falls to you at 25, you have to run to the podium and take him. That would be a
But
huge deal.
don't be surprised if somebody's there 2021. You see teams move
Mhm.
up for a couple spots because the Giants do have, I think, 3 third-round picks. So that's a note
Nice.
to watch out for there. Kurt, your Broncos are picking
What
in
are
this
they gonna
draft,
do?
but what are they going to do?
You know what?
What do you, actually, my question to you is, what would you be happy with having no
Honestly,
picks in the
Kenny,
first day?
honestly, best player available, right? Well, we have back-to-back picks, best player available. We have holes. I don't think we're not going to get a starter in the third round. Let's be totally realistic. It's not going to happen. Do we need depth on the offensive line? Sure. I mean, if we can get a young tackle, young guard to groom, but you're asking a lot in the third round to say, I'm going to find this tackle and he's going to play, it's not going to happen. We solidified our offensive line. We're good. The one position, and Jody just said, Ed, you're running back. And absolutely, I want a running back in the third round because, we got P. Ryan now. I love P. Ryan. I'm the hugest Javonte Williams guy, but let's be realistic. Whatever he gives us this year, he's probably not going to be ready from day one. Later on in the year, hopefully we can get him. And really next year is going to be when he's back to Javonte Williams. So I want a running back. The kid from your boy from Tulane, Kenny. The kid from A&M. My boy, Tank Bigsby from Auburn. Any one of these guys that can come in, contribute, a third down back, a back. Like, that's why I love the Tulane kid. One thing we don't have as a running back, we don't have a big play running back. Catch the ball out of backfield that can go 70. So the kid from Tulane, the kid from
Tyjae
A&M.
Spears.
Yeah, Spears.
Mhm.
I would love one of those guys. Even like Tank Bigsby. These guys,
There's a kid from UCLA, Kurt Charbonnet.
Yeah,
Under
yeah,
Charbonnet.
Chip Kelly's-
exactly.
Charbonnet. Under
Yeah,
Chip Kelly's
exactly.
system, 7 yards a carry.
Yes,
Was that?
yes.
That might fit Sean Payton's system.
A big play running back. So now you come back and you get P. Ryan, Javonte, and now here's my speed guy. That's what I'm happy with.
Okay.
Nice.
Chris Rodriguez Jr. Kurt, what are your thoughts on him, real quick?
Yeah,
please?
from
He's
Kentucky.
like that
Yeah,
type of player.
he's another. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so why don't we do this? Let's get our final thoughts on the draft, and then Kurt, you got a final thought on the draft? I know you don't have a day one. What are you looking for? What are you looking forward to on day one? Just draft in general, or?
Yeah, draft in general, trades, rumors. Like there's still talk. Somebody said Jerry Jeudy. I mean, the Broncos want a 1 for Jerry Jeudy. I mean, I still wouldn't trade a 1 for Jerry Jeudy. I mean, unless I have somebody who I think is better than Jerry Jeudy, why would I do it? Cortland Sutton, they're saying they want a 2nd-round pick. So there's still some stuff that could be moved. Denver, Sean Payton's an all-in guy, right? I mean, he's traded like draft classes to move up and get people. It's kind of funny. Sean Payton loves to trade, get less picks and move up. And George Payton loves to, accumulate picks and move down. So again, I think Sean Payton's running the draft. So,
yeah,
hey, if they like somebody in the 2nd round that they really, really love, move both third picks to they'll do something. So, but I'm excited for the draft. I love the draft.
I'm going to be excited on Thursday. My Giants, I think year 2 with Shane, I think he did well in his first draft. I think he's going to do good this year. I think we're going to make a move somewhere in this draft. I hope it is on day 1 for either move up for a stud receiver or, get that DeAndre Hopkins, Cortland Sutton, maybe even Kurt. There's names out there the Giants can use as a number 1 wide receiver. I'm excited. Thursday, we're going to get our final thoughts in a minute, but Carson, your final thoughts on the draft, and then we'll do final thoughts after that, our final thoughts.
Yeah, this is the most important draft in Lions franchise history. Everybody's saying we're the front runners for the NFC North. We have, I think, the 4th best odds to win the NFC, which is absolutely crazy, 11-1. I just threw some pizza money on the Lions, 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. That'd be the dream, but we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, things are changing. The culture's changing. Top 5 offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. Top 10 GM, Brad Holmes. Dan Campbell's going to bite some kneecaps here and there. I think, the Cowboys are America's team. I think that's full of crap. I think the whole NFL's going to be behind the Lions because they've seen us suck for decades and decades to come. I've never seen just the city in general just have a buzz and a feel in the air. When is football going to start? Because we could really surprise a lot of people. And again, if it's what are we going to do at 6? There's a lot of questions. I think the only 2 defensive guys I would take is Jalen Carter or Will Anderson. If they're not there, if somehow Stroud is there, I'm taking a shot on Stroud. But yeah, I think this is the time. We have to nail at least the first 2 rounders. Brad Holmes has nailed every first rounder so far. Aiden Hutchinson last year, Penei Sewell the year before. We're going to see what he does. This is an exciting time for me as a Lions fan, and I can't wait for Thursday. It's going to be unreal.
And you should be excited, Carson. And let's get our final thoughts in, Kurt. Let's go to you first, our special guest this evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. I know you had a busy day.
Yeah, thanks, Kurt.
Busy week. You had 3 podcasts on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm not lying. I'm so tired.
Back on Saturday.
I'm going to lay down. I'm not watching it. The Laker game, I'll probably all that. But you know what? It just comes down to this, man. Last night was fun. Last night was fun as a Knicks fan. I mean, we've waited years for what happened last night with just that atmosphere, blowout. The best place for a sporting event is the Garden. Knicks fans are the best. And you know what? How many hours? 1 o'clock? We do it again, baby. Let's go. Let's get the 3-1 and let's put this Cleveland team away. But let's go.
Nice.
Thank you, boys.
I'm gonna
tonight.
Thanks, Kurt. We appreciate you having you. I'm going to go next. I'm going to quickly let Carson end it tonight. Thursday, again, Kurt, thanks for joining. Jody out there. Wednesday, we're going to do K&K. Kurt, you're going to be watching the Knicks. I know that. I'll probably be back and forth, but I'll be with you guys. We'll do a nice little show. A lot to talk about. NBA, NHL, draft, obviously. That's why we got some draft stuff in tonight. Definitely looking forward to Thursday. Going to do a little draft watch party. Whoever's interested in joining, they can come in, out, come in for a minute. You can come in for 2 hours, whatever you want to do. You can come back and forth. I'm leaving an open invite out there for Jody, our friends. I'll send you guys the links. We did it a couple of years ago. It was fun. But as Carson mentions, it does get dragged out. So there will be times where I'll be leaving, and if anybody else is there, Kurt, if you want to stop by, you can come back for a few minutes, leave. Carson, same, love to have you for at least your Lions picks.
Sure.
If you're around, and stay as long as you want and come back and forth if you want. But we should have, and I'm throwing this out to especially Jody, who's still out there, a draft watch party live. Detroit. Next year, we get all our Colorado friends. We get all our K&K friends, Kurt, all of the Colorado friends, all of Carson's friends. A nice, huge draft party next year in Detroit. Let's do it. I'm making that awesome. Right now. 2024. Let's go. That's on the bucket list.
Nice.
But yeah, that's my final thoughts. I'll see everybody on Wednesday. Let's pass it off to Carson for the final words of the show.
Yeah, thanks everybody watching the show tonight. Shout out to Kenny and Kurt for kind of putting this together as well. And yeah, it's going to be exciting next week. NFL draft, obviously. We got NBA playoffs. Kurt, Kenny, let's go Knicks. Keep riding the bus train. Hopefully they get it done tomorrow. If they go up 3-1, Cavs are in some serious trouble.
Big game. Must win for us tomorrow.
Big game tomorrow for you guys.
If the Cavaliers win this series, Kurt, you got to make Carson a block and send it to him so he could put them in the freezer for the next series.
Oh, by the way, listen.
The Bucks. You got to put the Bucks in the freezer.
Hey. Shh. I'm not saying this because we got to take care of business. But the Miami Heat are up 2-1 on the Bucks. Let's just listen. Yeah. We might be home. Let's take care of Cleveland.
That'd be crazy.
Take care of Cleveland. Yep.
Yeah, Jody, I had money on your Nuggets last night, so let's go Nuggets as well. And yeah, thanks for coming out to the show tonight, guys.
Thanks, Carson. And find Carson on Ticket Time. What, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays now, right, Carson?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday for Ticket Time on.
Ticket Time, YouTube, Facebook, Kick, all the streams, fellas. Check them out. Great stuff.
All right.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you again.